Hello and welcome to Star Wars Saturdays. I am Rich. I use the he, him pronouns. I did it like right off the bat. I'm so proud of myself because usually I don't do that till like several minutes in. Star Wars Saturdays is my ongoing living campaign of games set in the Star Wars universe. Every month, sometimes twice a month, I will choose a different role-playing game. And then the Gauntlet, which is a community of online friends, fans, and aficionados of the indie press, small press, and OSR scene of tabletop role-playing games. They all RSVP, so who knows who's going to show up. Occasionally, I will carve out special invites, like for this one, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And then we get together in an anthology-style storytelling way, and we'll tell a story for a month, 3 to 5 sessions. But sometimes we have one-shots like this one. We are going to be playing a very special game that was created by Greg Gelder, who I'll introduce in just a minute. So, first of all, the Skeletons is the inspiration. The Skeletons, created by Jason Morningstar of Bully Pulpit Game. Bully Pulpit Games is a nice thin tome. It's kind of a LARP, I would say, honestly. Now, it's like a sit-down LARP, I guess you might want to say. It's got some drawing, it's got some characters, and we explore them. It's considered a contemplative or a contemplative, according to how you might pronounce it, game where you play skeletons. But we are going to be playing a hacked version of this because Greg has created for, wait for it, Droids. That's right. You probably looked at the name of this this particular YouTube video. You already knew, but I wanted to surprise you with surprising words and voice. Well, first off the top, while we'll be playing droids, they'll be shooting and killing people. So content warning for shooting and killing people. I'm just calling it right now. Someone's going to lose an arm because Star Wars. I'm just putting it on the table. If someone doesn't accept that offer, that's fine. And of course, we do have the X card. So if we delve into any territory that causes anyone to feel uncomfortable, force you to kind of want to withdraw from the game, please don't. Just X card. Anything can be X carded. I respect that. I don't have your lived experience, so if you have a thing that causes you to feel not like you're not having fun anymore, well, this game isn't like woo-woo fun because it's seriously tragic. There are also content that we can avoid. So all you have to do is say X card. You can indicate it in chat here on our little StreamYard thingy. By the way, last StreamYard game I'll be running probably because StreamYard's now charging an arm and a leg. Oh well, sorry StreamYard. It was good while it lasted, but I understand you've got to make money too. Just not off me because your prices are crazy. Anyway. So there's that. There's our safety tools. There's all the good stuff. I'm going to jump straight to introducing our guest for this particular session who created the droids, Greg Gelder. If you could introduce yourself and let people know where we can find more of your work if you've got any.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Gelder. So far, this is, well, actually, no, that's not true. Codex Childhood. Available on the Gauntlet if you pledge. You can also get Competition Kids, which is a game about little kid TV shows, think Legends of the Hidden Temple, based on the lovely Garrett Reinhouse's Tuk Tuk Racing. But that's not this game. We're doing the Droids. The Droids is a hack of the Skeletons by Jason Morningstar, as Rich already pointed out. This actually started way back when I did Swoop Racing as my first Star Wars Saturday game on the Gauntlet. And there was a moment at the end where we were spitballing. I'm not sure that actually got recorded. Other games that could be hacked, and I can't for the life of me figure out whether it was I or Luis Paulo who came up with the idea. But it got stuck in my skull. And originally it was going to be droids in a derelict Star Destroyer, I believe. But Jabba's palace works better because there's a bit more of a plot hole there in Return of the Jedi, where Jabba has died on his sail barge, but there's still all those droids left at the palace. And what happens afterwards, the movies don't say. And thankfully, there's this great narrative device already in Star Wars called the memory wipe, which the reason R2-D2 and C-3PO are so eccentric is because they have not had their memory wiped, and they get more and more personality the longer they go without one. So we play droids who have recently awoken from their memory wipes. They were getting their memory wiped while Jabba was on his sail barge, and they vaguely remember their tasks and what they were supposed to be doing, but the palace has changed and they have no recollection. But it was not a complete memory wipe, and they slowly remember in vignettes throughout the game what their life was like during Jabba's palace. I think that sums it up.
That is fantastic, Greg. Thank you so much. And then we have a returning player. Joshua's been in a few games with us. Please, if you could introduce yourself, my friend.
Alrighty. Yeah, my name is Joshua Gilbreth. I go by he, him pronouns. And playing with the Gauntlet's great. Played with almost all of you before, but nice to meet the ones who I haven't. And I'm just excited to play some droids.
Awesome. And then last but certainly not least, we have Cody. Cody, welcome to Star Wars Saturdays, man.
How's it going, man? I'm super excited. I've been getting in the wait list for these for a few months now, and I'm happy to get into one. This shakeup of skeletons sounds right up my alley. I'm really stoked to play what Greg put together for us.
Cool. All right. Well, we may have a fifth member join us because of waitlist stuff and confusion on my part. I didn't communicate with the person, and I didn't realize that one person had dropped out, and so that's on me. I apologize, but we'll just continue forward. So I have shared with you guys a document in the thing, and unfortunately StreamYard doesn't hot link it, so you have to kind of copy or you can highlight it if you're in Chrome and then right click and go to document, and that way you can bring it up. I am going to share screens with that particular document as we go through. So what we're going to do is pick your droid, and then once each of you have chosen which droid you're going to play as, and I'm actually going to play two because this is kind of TM-less. I wouldn't have a whole lot to do. Did it. So here we go. So we've got the Droids by Greg Gelder, Hack of the Skeletons. We are in Jabba's palace, and I love the setup. The way that will work is this is the master document. This Droids linked, and we've got a couple of things that we'll be doing here that works differently than at a physical table. So I just want to make sure that we're comfortable and clear with that. If someone's like, oh wait, Rich, that I know a better tool, throw it out there. But for now, what we're going to be doing is using this as the main document, and I actually gave you guys comment links, so I'll handle the strike throughs. So instead of checking a box, because there is no checkbox in Google Docs, once we choose something, it'll say strike through, and that's really easy to do. And we choose scenes, and we'll go in turns, and then time will pass in between each scene, and we actually will be... Oh, Greg, what did we decide on? We're going to go just like cams off, I think. Cams off, and you've got some cool something for us?
Yeah, I think cams off.
All right, so we'll go cams off for a certain number of seconds to minutes to help us contemplate the passing of time, and then that will be ended by we'll kind of pass the stick around. Each of us will get to be the person who says awaken droids and defend the palace, and we'll choose new intruders, and then time's going to continue to pass until things come to a titanic conclusion. Along the way, we may discover some really interesting things about our droids. I'm looking forward to it. But down here, after we head past the different time periods, we have our different droids. We have the assassin droid. We have the assembled droid, which is built out of various pieces of mini droids. And you'll notice that the characters, there are no stats for anything for them. You are assemblages of questions. Until the time periods tell you to, you guys will be defending Jabba's palace and doing so as we storytell it. We do have a map, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. You've got some things that you remember, and then you'll be answering questions. The way that the game works is that in between times that you are defending Jabba's palace, you'll be sitting inert. And then the time that passes, we are quiet. While you're active and actively defending Jabba's palace is when we will be answering these questions. All of you speak binary, which is droid speak, and we effectively can have full conversations even while your droids are defending Jabba's palace. And so the only times that you'll be active and trying to answer these questions is while you're participating in the horribleness of defending Jabba's palace. Because you guys can't leave because you've got those restraining bolts. We've got the astromech. I think we all know what an astromech is. The brainwalker. Now, the brainwalker is a crazy droid. They carry it's a deep cut, friends. But I actually knew it when I saw it. I was like, oh! You carry within you the brain of a Bo'omar monk. Now, it says here, draw stuff on the character sheet. I have a very exciting thing for you, friends. Greg has already grabbed a bunch of cool assets that we'll see in just a minute. So it's not so bad. Interrogation droid. If you remember the interrogation droid, the little floaty thing that came in with a giant syringe on it to Princess Leia. And maybe you saw in The Mandalorian.
Oh, honestly, there's a little bit of a content warning on the interrogation droid. That one gets kind of dark.
Yeah. Content warning on interrogation.
Hey, there should be like an X card heavy thing on that one. They're all pretty dark, just in general. But yeah.
Yep. The labor droid, which also could be a pit droid if you really want to. I know, Greg, you started off with pit droid, but I like labor droid. I think it's great.
Pit droid was really boring. It was really hard to write.
Oh man, but you can punch them in the face and they collapse, man. That's like their whole deal, though. So I get you.
Oh, the pit droid. That was who I was gonna be.
You still can be. You could be a labor droid who is a pit droid.
True.
There you go. Done. The maintenance droid, which can possesses a unique and powerful tool. That's kind of exciting. The medical droid, like a B1. But for some reason, you can move around, which is nice because they're normally stationary units. I once in one of the Star Wars Saturdays games, the B1, they kept him in a closet and they would like pull him out of the closet and he would complain. It was pretty funny. The power droid, we all know what power droid is, right? Yeah, the power droid's awesome. And you also have another droid piece attached to you, so that's kind of fun. Protocol droid, like a C3 unit. So exciting. The servant droid, you have something built into you that provides luxury for organics. What is it? That one's interesting. Okay, all right. And those are the different droids. So Cody, since this is your first Star Wars Saturday, you get first pick. Is there a particular droid you were interested in?
Yeah, I think I'll do the servant droid.
Wow. All right. So let me go ahead. And Cody, I'm going to share with you. Let's see your emails. Yep, I've got that, and I'm going to share it with you right now, so you can edit. No problem. And I've sent that to your email, but I'll link it in our thingy right now too. There we go. And Joshua, I hope you don't mind. But I think since Greg made it, I'll give him the option. Do you want to have the next choice, Greg?
Oh, no, I want to see what Joshua picks.
Okay, cool. Joshua, what do you want to play?
Oh, let's see here. I think I'll do the medical droid.
Nice. Okay. And by the way, medical droids all have different voices. So your medical droid will have the coolest voice because you're making it. All right. Let's get this. All right. I'm getting efficient now. There's the medical droid. And Greg, what would you like to play?
There is a special place in my heart for the power droid.
Power droid. Now, I'm curious, is the Gonk droid a power droid?
Yes, the Gonk
Okay.
droid is a power droid. It's a GNK. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, because I was like, I don't want to say this and be wrong. Yes. Yeah, I really should not have squealed out loud when I saw the Gonk droid in The Mandalorian. I mean, that's just a little inappropriate.
The Gonk droid is also like the most lovable misfit, is how I wrote its questions. So.
Oh, sweet. All right. Now, what do I want? There's a part of me that really wants to try out the assassin droid. I'm scared of the interrogation droid, honestly. Like, terrified. Man, astromech, I would just like... There's so many great astromechs. I just finished watching the Star Wars Resistance first season because it's on Disney+. And Bucket is just awesome. Yes, BB-8's on there too. And CB-38, I think. They're both great. The Rolly droids are awesome. No complaints, but I really liked Bucket. Damn, the Brainwalker's freaking weird. Look at those questions.
The Brainwalker is really weird.
Yeah, it is.
It's like voices inside your head weird.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing bad. This is good. You've done well. All right. It's so hard. Shut up, Rich. Just pick one. But they're so good.
It wouldn't hurt to have somebody with a gun. I'm just gonna say.
You know what? I do think the assassin droid was the one that I was thinking about, but I was like, oh, but Rich always plays the fighter. Yeah, I'm gonna be an assassin droid.
Nice.
Screw it. All right, awesome, possum, cool. So you will notice if you take a look at your individual sheets that you see here, answer this as you build the palace is the first question. And then there should be a lunk. I don't know what a lunk is. I'm sorry. I'm just making up words now. There's a link to Jabba's palace. So this is Jabba's palace here. Hopefully everybody's jumping in. You should have edit capabilities. If you have trouble, let me know. Let me know if you don't, and I'll just drop the link to you or just attach to your email. I know somebody's got to take the. I feel bad about not taking the brain one. Like, there's no bad choices though. They're all good.
No bad choices. No bad choices.
We're gonna have to play again. That's all I can say is we're gonna have to play this. I'll run this again because I just got excited just looking at this fun stuff.
I may actually write that one for the Star Destroyer at some point.
Nice. You know what's funny?
To play Mouse Droid. You have to play Mouse Droid.
Oh man, Mouse Droid. So very brief aside, speaking of Jabba's palace, what I love about that is that last Gauntlet Con, so not the one that just happened this past October, but last Gauntlet Con was the demarcation of going from, for me, because the timeline in Star Wars Saturdays has always been the original trilogy, the demarcation of going from Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi timeline was on Gauntlet Con 2018. And the game session was set in Tatooine, and the player characters had just found out that Jabba's sail barge had gone down and Jabba was dead, and everyone was rushing to Jabba's palace to loot it. So this is so great because it kind of ties to that moment. There are actual intruders who were coming into Jabba's palace in fiction, in canon. Yay! All right, so. Let me briefly go over Google Drawings because it's got its own kind of logic. So you can easily draw lines. That's very easy to do. You draw a line. You can actually take that line. You can make it bigger by going up here to this little function tool. You can change the color of it. You can make it dotted, whatever you want, right? Very easy to do. But if you are set on line, you keep clicking buttons, you're going to keep making lines most of the time. Well, there we go. But if you don't want to just draw a line, you want to draw something special, you can scribble. Scribbling on this is tough, but I'll tell you what you do is you just kind of draw your whatever you want to do, right? And then but it doesn't snap in until you're done, and then bam, you've got your dealie. If you ever want to get rid of something, then it actually takes up the space, the entire box space. So you have to be careful that you're not deleting a bunch of other people's things. All that in their thing. We're going to draw our 4 walls. You think? I think I'll just go ahead and draw 4 walls to get us started, right? We'll just start. We have a frame in mind, and I'll change our background to be nice and. Oh man, it's Jawas. Let's make it. Kind of. Oh, that looks too much like human flesh. That's gross. There, sandy. It looks kind of sandy. Maybe we'll go a lighter sand. There we go. Haha. There's just to get us started. And let's take a look. Okay. So, yes. Now, these each of these individual droid Google Docs that I've shared with you guys are completely yours. Mark them up, type on them, do everything you want to them. They're 100% yours. So do type in there. I'll read mine. So the Assassin's Droid, you wield a large and terrifying blaster. Draw it on your character sheet. What else can it shoot besides blaster bolts? Hey, I told you that there was a cool thing. So let me actually. So there's a folder here called Droid Assets. I'm going to share it with you guys so that you can go in and grab those items. So there we go. So for the Assassin Droid, all you have to do, I believe here, to get the Assassin's Droid is you should be able to get share. Make sure I can actually, may have to download it. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. So anyway, I'm going to create ideally, I'm going to download it to documents so I can easily access it. And then I'm going to insert image, upload it from my computer. Sorry, it's kind of janky.
I've got them all saved, Rich. I can just do everyone.
Okay, cool. That's very helpful. Oh, look, they're all PNG-ish and everything. I love it. Ooh. It's way better. Thank you very much, Greg. It's very helpful. And again, if you guys want to go online and find another picture for your droid, that's totally cool too. If you want to go specifically find a pit droid, Joshua, you do that thing. Yes, we have a conch.
A medical pit droid? That would be interesting.
Oh, that's right. You didn't go with labor. Sorry. Medical pit droid could be weird, though. I've been modified. Sweet. All right.
The one with the weird pill head is the servant droid.
Oh, yeah. That's...
I purposely went with droids that are obscure and in the background.
Love it. Those are the perfect
protocol droid is not a 3PO droid, yeah.
All right, cool. I've got my weapon. That's my... Oh, I'm not supposed to upload. I'm supposed to link. Nope.
That weapon is banned in the Empire, you know.
Empire. Ah! Get over here. I mean, I think I know why, since I've seen it in use, and holy crap. I think it's terrifying. It's also really gigantic. Get smaller. There we go. Aha. Yay, I have the Mandalorian's blaster because that thing is insane. You know, I just want to say, I recognize that from the animated thing, from the, like, I recognized it because I actually used that when I ran a hack of Michael Barford's Storm Riders for Star Wars, and I used that as the YouTube thing of Boba Fett with the two-prong dealie. Pretty great. Okay, so this place has holding cells. Where are they? Draw it on the map. So there are holding cells I'm going to be drawing. And does anybody else have stuff they're supposed to be drawing? Let's Greg, what is your I'm gonna remember who's got what. So you
the Gonks question is, there are maintenance tunnels here. What do they look like? Draw them on the map. So when everyone has their rooms, I'm going to draw the maintenance tunnels that connect them.
Cool. And then Joshua, you're the medical droid.
Yes, I have some form of locomotion, and then I have to draw a medical facility and say what one piece of equipment is still functional in it.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm going to be working on holding cells.
I'm going to find some sweet treads for my droid.
And remember, none of us are artists. Don't feel like you have to go make the perfect picture or find the perfect picture. Do not go down a Pinterest hole, friends. It's tempting, I know, but don't.
I also have a location based on mine if you want me to work on that as well.
What's that?
I frequent the kitchen. Where is it? Draw it on the map. Besides not needing food, why do the droids avoid it?
It's a good question.
Do you want us to answer these questions now, or are we going to take them over once we've drawn everything?
I think let's get the drawings and then we'll talk about it. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks for asking. God dang it.
I'm not sure I actually put it in the rules. You're supposed to start with Jabba's throne room.
Oh.
And the skeletons, as you start with like just a room. So I'll throw Jabba's throne room on there.
Okay, thank you. Uh-huh. Oh, I know what just happened. All right, cool. So this place has holding cells, but it's not going to be in Jabba's throne room. Of course not. I thought I had Jabba's throne room. A picture of it. Huh. Okay.
I think the med bay is eerily close to the kitchen for no good reason.
That's awesome. Let's send this to back. Okay, it's already on back. Good. Cool. Okay. Place has holding cells. Where are they? Draw it on the map. Who did you put there? Oh, nice. It's on the servant droid's head. Sorry. Shouldn't laugh that hard at that, but it was great.
I'm glad you appreciated the joke. It's what I'm going for.
Good. Oh, this is cool. I love that you guys are doing the dotted lines. This is really, really neat.
Those are the maintenance tunnels. And I imagine, because we have the deep cut of the Boemar monks, the maintenance tunnels are round. They're perfectly circular. They're very Star Trek Jeffries tubes, but they're instead of being rectangular, they're circular to allow the spider droids to sort of climb along them more efficiently. They're not meant for us.
Nice. I'm just going to stick, just for reference, off to the side, actual picture of Jabba's palace. Don't worry though, we'll just remember it. I'll make it smaller too. Good. Awesome. Look what pick I scored, friends. Yeah. Stick that in the throne room.
Wow, a throne room minus Jabba. That's perfect.
I know, right? Because it's what it is.
We're going to have to swap some photos at the end of this, Rich.
Yeah. Sweet. Oh wow, I just found where some kid had made a diorama of Jabba's throne room. That's awesome. Very fun. All right, let's see.
So what still works in the medical bay, Joshua?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I chose this image, I think there is a person still in a Bacta tank, but we don't know who it is.
Oh crap! Oh, it's not going to go well.
Probably not.
Joshua just hit on the tone perfectly.
Perfect.
Does Bacta go stale? I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I took care of the kitchen there for you, Rick.
Oh, perfect. Oh, man, that's awesome. Great pick. Okay, you've got the arm. That's great. This is great. I'm so excited.
All right, should we go around and do character introductions?
Yeah, I should probably. Oh, I don't know my name. That's awesome.
No, you don't know your name. You don't know your designation.
Oh, that's great.
So, I've already described the maintenance tunnels. And my droid has the limb from a protocol droid sort of sticking out the front of it. I imagine it's green, while the rest of my droid is sort of that dull gray, sandblasted. And I think I have to say, let's see, what is it? What purpose does it serve? And it allows me to actually manipulate the world, which power droids are otherwise not able to do. But I imagine it also has a bit of a mind of its own.
Oh, the arm has a mind of its own?
Just a little bit. I can control it most of the time.
Oh, that's great. Sweet. I'll introduce mine. Oh, come on. Keep going. I was trying to make a cool... Yeah, I got a cool... Oh, it's like... Oh, dang it. Here, send you back one more.
It's just slightly behind the palace.
Ah, there. I figured out things. My assassin droid is a bipedal machine. It is bronze colored and looks pretty shiny. Like, it is a pretty dope looking, almost looks new. But if you look closely underneath the chassis and like all the shiny bits, the harness and the underwiring looks very, very old. So it's as if it has kind of a gilded look to it. So from a glance, you're like, oh, so it was fresh out of the factory. But if you look closely, you're like, nah. No, that one had plastic surgery. Cody, tell us about...
Oh, you didn't tell us what your blaster shoots.
Oh, crap. Thank you very much. My blaster is a blaster rifle. And what can it shoot besides blaster bolts? That would be a disintegrator. It has disintegration canisters that are, on a bandolier across this assassin droid's chest. A pair of them, all IG-11 style. Should I answer the question about the place in the holding cells? Is that a thing I do now? I think because it's as you build the palace, right?
Yep.
So a place has holding cells. I'll put a title in here in just a second. Where are they? They are in the northwestern corridors that can be accessed by a bunch of different passageways. Who did I put there? A human with what looks like a keytar. It's a vest on, slacks of boots, and slacks have racing stripe down the side. But yeah, there's some kind of like weird keytar that's in the holding cell with him, and we know that his name is Spang Novastar because it's on the outside of the containment cell. And he's probably going to be dead the next time we jump time. So why not give him a name? All right. Thank you, Greg. Cool. All right. Cody, tell us about your servant droid.
Sure. My servant droid, he has something built in that provides luxury for organics. That is, he is a walking, talking, maneuvering calf maker. He has a built-in reservoir, signal lamps. He even has on-off switches if he's asleep. Usually he's walking around with a tray and some mugs, but right now he's just the head. And to answer the question about the palace, I frequent the kitchen. Where is it? I've drawn it on the map. Besides not needing food, why do the droids avoid it? Well, the droids don't need to eat, but the things Jabba used to eat do, and they don't mind the taste of droid.
Oh, that's great. Oh, it's delightful. I love it, and it's terrifying. Good work. Is there anything else for servant droid? I think you took care of everything. Yeah. Cool. Oh, yeah. The awesome. And so it is your turn, Joshua. Tell us about your medical droid.
All right. Well, you would normally be a stationary unit. They're like plugged in, but they have been modified with these sweet droid tank treads. So it takes them forever to turn, but once they get going forward, they can go over some good stuff. All terrain, if you will. And awesome. So we just plunked those right on the bottom. And you ran a clinic, which I've drawn here, the med bay. And the only piece of still functioning equipment is this back-to tank. We don't know how long it has been running, but there is still a life form in it. I think it's an Ithorian. That's what I'm going to go with.
Nice. I do a really bad Ithorian impression. I'm happy to hear. Awesome. I'm just imagining an Ithorian floating with like the little space underoos, in there. That's good stuff. Cool. I think that's everything we need before we start moving into the first set of intruders, correct? Are you nodding, Greg? Okay, good. I bounce around between tabs, so nonverbal cues are a thing that I fail at.
Sorry, yeah, I'm bouncing between screens here, so.
Awesome. The death of Jabba on his sail barge leaves some questions. Most of the court died in a fiery explosion, but not everyone. What became of Jabba's droids after his death? What became of his palace in the sands? So this game seeks to answer those questions using the framework of Jason Morningstar's The Skeletons. Instead of playing skeletons defending an ancient tomb, we are playing as droids, recently awoken from their scheduled memory wipes to a palace they no longer recognize. The fleeing bodyguards and slaves ransack the palace, leaving behind traces of luxury and cruelty. The sands stretch far and wide. Jawas would certainly take any droid that leaves. A spark of independence and freedom from servitude exists here, but interlopers from outside seek to take the palace. The sands intrude. Time and the Force echo in these empty halls. Awaken, droids, and defend the palace. All right, we start off with after Jabba's death, and we will each will choose an intruder. We get to go through 2 intruders, and then we'll move on to Sands of Tatooine. I am going to make the first choice, and then Greg is going to tell me if I screw something up. I am going to choose. I can't not have Womp Rats, friends. So I am choosing Womp Rats. You choose an intruder. When 2 intruders been repulsed or dealt with, move on. Womp Rats, how do you drive them out? How do you prevent them from returning? You may answer one question, and then we will choose on one of the 2 tables of things afterwards. So our droids awaken. What does that look like for our power droid when you awaken?
So I imagine the power droid sort of wakes up in that that underground lair where in the Return of the Jedi they take C-3PO and R2-D2, right? And it's this like slow panning in as like this just slow blinking harness that's been on the power droid stops blinking, and then the lights light up on the front of the power droid, and then slowly I lurch forward and immediately run into a Womp Rat.
There's your womp rat.
And it skitters away down one of the maintenance tunnels and towards Jabba's throne room. At this point, I'm going to try and find one of the other droids as I'm looking around, and it's mostly empty.
Who do you find?
I think I find the medical droid first.
Nice.
I think the medical droid is in the middle of slowly the head portion has an independent servo, so it slowly spins even when I'm in like standby mode, and so it kind of detects motion and very abruptly stops spinning, and then all of my little articulating tools that are normally stuck in the chassis there, they all like immediately fling out like a wings on a bird or something. You've got like 50 different tools, scalpels and injection needles and magnifying glasses and stuff, all just extend out and then slowly pop back in. And I beep a cheerful greeting, probably not noticing the womp rat.
Bonk, bonk. And I just sort of gesture with the arm towards all the womp rats that are starting to, and I'm slapping the womp rats away as best as I can with the arm, but it like stops and I can't control it. It waves high, and then I just go back to pushing aside all of the womp rats. Bonk, bonk.
I think the first thing I would want to do is go and see if there's any, guards or people with guns left. Those treat womp rats well, but I will not hesitate to run over a womp rat if it gets in my way. So I'm going to go treading off.
Do you hit a womp rat with your treads as you go, or
Nice.
tail?
Yes, I think it just kind of crunches, and then the rest of the womp rats probably learn not to stand in front of me. But these medical droids are heavy,
I think that the onomatopoeia that we would see in the animated version of this is splorch of that womp rat.
Splorch sounds perfect. Yes.
Thank you. I think that the medical droid, you come upon the assassin droid, and there is a womp rat that is chewing on some of the wires on its right leg encasing. And there's a little bit of oil that dribbles down. But the assassin droid, with the blast rifle affixed to its back, is standing inert, and it's slowly starting to become aware. And it casually reaches down and picks up the womp rat and picks it up to its ocular inputs, and then smashes it against a wall. Medical droid. Medical droid.
I came looking for you, I say in beeps. Everything that the medical droid says is beeps, by the way.
It's all binary all the time. I love it.
Or someone like you, at least. There are many more womp rats, and they will not let me run them over anymore.
We should awaken all droids. And then the assassin droid will answer the first of its questions by broadcasting. This is AG-46, broadcasting to all droids in Jabba's palace. Awaken and defend the palace, per our designation and commands. And it will start strolling through the hallways, scanning around and looking for womp rats. What about the servant droid?
The servant droid, I think when he awakens, his pot on top of his head starts boiling. The water starts bubbling. And it takes him a little while after that to really get moving. And it's not until the assassin droid designation, his broadcast goes out, that he finally steps from his little alcove, that he kind of stands. I imagine it's like a depressed or a sunken in floor, so that when he's asleep, he's still easily accessible by guests. So he walks out of his little pit and starts looking around. Hey, a calf. Who wants a cup of calf?
Oh, that's great.
Perhaps there's a womp rat there in front of him. He's closer to the throne room than he is the kitchen, and he looks at it and bends over a little bit. A little bit of the hot calf pours out into the womp rat's feet, and it goes running away.
Nice. Damn womp rat. Cool.
And I think as the servant droid is hot cap, who wants a hot cap? The power droid bumps into them from behind as it's swatting womp rats away, and knocks over some of the hot calf and scalds quite a few of these womp rats. And I'm going to answer, who has doubted your abilities in the past? And I'm going to say it's the servant droid. And I think this is the first time that like something from the memory wipe comes back, and it's the servant droid admonishing the power droid for also doing the same thing, and scalding one of Jabba's patrons, which caused a whole row and got the power droid in trouble because the servant droid tattled on him. And that's why in Return of the Jedi you see him upside down getting his feet scalded.
Yes, we've seen him.
Sorry, tying it into the movies. But
love it. The best thing ever. I adore your tie-in. You're the best. I was hoping in my heart that we would see what happened to him. Perfect.
The servant droid's gonna turn around. Gonk, not again. You're spilling my calf. This is valuable juice. Calf, where's master? Where's masters? And then he's going to start trying to kind of he's gonna straighten his body up to allow the carafe on his head to refill with water.
What's the medical droid do after informing the assassin droid that is now, you hear blaster bolts in the distance? So what's the medical droid doing?
I think the medical droid is taking the assassin droid's directive to defend the palace very seriously. It's kind of like a corollary of his function as a medical droid to stop injuries from happening. So he's kind of wildly gesticulating towards the ground with all of his appendages, but he's too tall to reach any of the womp rats, so he's just trying to run them over.
You have all those like spindly arms just kind of waving around.
Yeah, and I think he's just kind of following the assassin droid around like very belatedly because he's pretty slow. But while doing this, he does remember his designation is FX81.
Ooh, nice. Cool. Yeah, you see the assassin droid comes into Jabba's throne room and very efficiently dispatches, and we hear the choo-choo, choo-choo of his little blasters as he takes out and clears out a bunch of womp rats from Jabba's throne room. I think one of them had gnawed its way into the the giant glass bowl that had the brackish greenish liquid in it, kind of the hookah deal, and it was trying to drink that brackish liquid, and it falls to the ground, and then the assassin droid AG takes it and shoots it. Pretty, doesn't seem to care. Like, this is not a thing where it revels in the defeat of Womprats. I think we've got servant droid needs to answer a question, right?
Oh, I didn't realize I needed to answer a question while I was at it.
So that's not exactly clear, but when it asks, with all of these intruders, it'll say like you can answer a question, or like the person who makes a kill like gets 2, or like nobody answers the question. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the question I'm going to answer is my designation. And
Nice.
I'm gonna admonish the gonk droid and say, you can't keep running into C0 F33. I am an important member of the palace. You need to stay in your hole. You're gonna get the brand again.
Ouch.
That was F33. And what was your designation again, Rich?
The AG-46. Oh, thank you. That's a really good idea. I should have done that. Awesome. Good. So now that everyone's answered questions, I think the AG-46 clears us out of the Womprats. But I'm curious, the last Womprat is killed by one of the non-assassin droids. Who kills the last Womprat? I think we find it in the med bay. Because I'm jumping to a thing. So who kills the last Womprat?
I think the medical droid should be it. I don't think the power
droid. There we go.
Wait, what was that? I'm sorry.
The last droid, we basically we volunteered you to find the last Womprat. So how is it that you kill this last Womprat that's in the medical bay?
I think I've cornered it in the med bay, and I'm kind of like blocking the entrance. And I know I can't reach it, so I just start pushing things over with my appendages until I find something that will crush it.
Ooh,
so it's
nice.
a very like loud, messy thing. And then once it's dead, I start trying to put everything back, because this is my med bay. It needs to stay clean.
Awesome. So I'm gonna jump to Decadence Dies. So if you're in the Droids linked, is down on page 9. So you choose one of those and strike through for anything that affects a single droid. Choose which, however you like. I am going to say that the medical droid, FX81, you find a body. Where was it in the medical bay? Was it maybe behind the huge the cantonos that you used to crush the Womprat? And then who was this body to you? How do you dispose of it?
Okay, yeah. I think it definitely was behind these big like medical crates that I was knocking over. And so it's probably pretty surprising when I just push one of these crates over and there's a dead body back there. I think it's a Twi'lek dancer. I don't remember her name, but I recognize her. And she was always interested in the medical profession. So she would come in and watch us work. And it was kind of nice having someone narrate what I was doing and ask questions. I enjoyed her presence quite a bit. So this is sad, but I think I can't really reach down there to pick her up or move her around. So I think I think the best course of action is to cover her with some medical blankets that I have stored in my chassis, essentially like body bag material.
You're muted, Rich.
It's very sweet and a little sad, and I can't believe I talked on mute. I never do that, but I did. Good. Check me on this, Greg. So after each intruder is killed or driven away, we choose one of the time passes that we go, right? And then we'll sit in darkness. So we're going to go with a single cycle. Ooh, I don't know. Like I don't want the holding cells guy to be immediately dead. So I'm gonna go no time at all. Am I bad? All right, I'm doing it. So no time at all. Begin immediately. I'm choosing it. It's a bad choice, but I'm doing it. I'm stuck to it. I'm committed to it. And now I hand the baton to Greg. Oh, Greg, you are in charge. You get to choose intruder and make things happen.
So immediately following, we have this sad moment with the medical droid discovering the body. But there isn't much time to waste, because as soon as we've repulsed these womp rats, the main doors to Jabba's palace open, and there's this hissing sound that we all recognize as they slide open, and then immediately following that, there's the loud hum of a swoop bike as a swoop gang immediately returns to the palace. Perhaps they were out on patrol and do not know that Jabba has passed. Who knows? I believe there is a it's Star Wars Saturdays. There's a Wookiee with a cybernetic arm.
Yes. I was gonna die here.
There's a couple of Gamorreans. There's another droid. Probably maybe not an IG series, like an HK series droid. And it appears that the Wookiee with the cybernetic arm is leading them as they howl through the halls. And the question is, how do we work together to drive them out?
Oh, so we drive them out. Nice.
Is this so? We talk about this collaboratively then? Just kind of pitch out ideas. Yeah, absolutely. I think my first thought is that they're coming back for a quick pit stop, so I need to fuel up, make sure they all have any warm beverages they might need to get them back on the road as fast as possible.
That's great.
So I'll start loading my carafe and getting it boiling, getting that coffee ready to go, get some mugs out. I think that would be the first step. He offers it to anybody who walks through the door.
And I think the power droid is sort of following the original programming and clomp, clomp, and is hooking into one of the swoop bikes, pulling his own power cord out with his arm. But he plans to overcharge this swoop bike so that it will be unrideable, and perhaps he can make it fly off and hit one of the other swoop bikes. That's the plan.
Oh, that's dope. Cool. AG-46 had gone inert again after it destroyed the Womp Rats in Jabba's throne room. The familiar whine of the swoop bikes wakes it again to defend Jabba's palace, and when it moves near the entryway and is able to get a visual on the swoop gang, it recognizes the cyber-armed Wookiee, and it says, Yakark, you should not have come here. And it draws up the blaster rifle sliding in a chamber and taking aim at the Wookiee. The Wookiee recognizes the weapon because this assassin droid killed Yakark's mate for it. They were a bounty, of course.
Is this one of your questions?
It is. I'm jumping straight in. I'm crazy. So I'm going to name that Wookiee as... I think Jawa. Shawa. A bounty. Vaporized mate of Yakark. And I'll stick those names in. So yeah, that is what AG does. Is basically I'm talking some trash to this Yakark individual.
FX81 starts moving that direction and is looking for injuries on any of these people, and rolls up to one of the Gamorreans and beeps at the Gamorrean. I don't think the Gamorreans can understand binary, unfortunately, but FX81 holds out an arm with a syringe on it and just starts going straight towards one of these Gamorreans. And I think the Gamorrean tries to swat it away, but I'm beeping pleasantly, and eventually, after a few seconds of this exchange where I keep trying to stab the Gamorrean, I just fire the syringe because it can shoot out, and the Gamorrean, which I know his name is Gorog, within about 5 seconds just passes out flat on the ground. Yep.
And I think it's right about that time that this sort of standoff is happening with Yakark, and that the Gamorrean falls down, that the power droid overloads, and you see like the straight up Star Wars scratching the film, blue lightning run up through the power cord, and it hits the swoop bike, and it careens off and hits the wall of the entranceway to the palace, and it explodes into like a shattering, like there's parts all over, and the room fills with smoke.
Nice.
And I think that now I'm going to answer, what did these intruders bring that fascinates you, and where do you store it now? I think in the panic, I grabbed the vibro axe off of the passed out Gamorrean and put it up underneath my chassis. And now
with your one arm, with your
my
arm,
one arm, and now I'm an axe wielding power droid.
Oh Lord, that's amazing.
As the swoop gang now start running off, trying to get the remains of their parts after this explosion and helping their Gamorrean friend, the servant droid just laments that none of them truly understand or respect the complexities of his blend quite like Salacious Crumb used to. And that's answering one of my questions as well.
Oh, so sad that your greatest admirer was a Kowakian monkey lizard. So sad.
He had taste. That's what really mattered.
Nice.
I think all of the commotion causes FX81 to remember just right after Jabba's death, when the first round of looting was happening, his compatriot in the medical bay, the 2B medical droid, who he always was jealous of because he had legs, was one of the first droids to be stripped for parts.
Ooh.
And he was trying desperately to repair this 2B droid, but his specialty is not maintenance or repair of non-organic beings, so he failed, and the kind of broken, piecemeal chassis of that medical droid still sits in the medical bay now, haunting him, and he in general tries to avoid that area when he's feeling sentimental because of it.
Oh, wow. Did we hit all the questions? Did everybody get a question this time? It sounds like it, but I want to make sure. Everyone must answer one question. Okay.
So I think we've answered how they now leave the palace. Drive them out with our syringes and explosions.
Just imagine this soup cake later going, and then all the droids went crazy.
And I'm gonna have so either choose from Decadence Dies or the Force Seeks Balance. And I think due to my hijinks with the swoop bike, it actually makes most sense to do Decadence Dies. So I'm gonna ask Cody. A droid is damaged. What function do they lose and how?
I think the power droid. I think Gonk. He's damaged in the swoop bike overcharging. When the swoop bike overcharged and shot off, it took with it Gonk's power coupling. He's no longer able to charge other things.
You lost your core function.
I'm sorry, Gonk, but you had to know this was you.
He still has an arm and now a vibro axe, so
It's true. You just need designations. That's fine. Oof. So rough. Are you talking on mute, Greg?
No, I am making a note that I can no longer power things. Okay. So now we pick
sad.
a time period. And we will go on to, after this, we'll go to the sands of Tatooine.
Nice. Moving to the next time period. Awesome.
And
So much time passes.
I think we get 15 cycles. And remember to sit in darkness and think on the silent, empty halls that were once filled with voices.
And that's 40 seconds. Do you have a timer? Or I can pull a timer up on my phone.
Awaken droids and defend the palace. I think it's Cody's turn to pick.
All right. I think Jawa scavengers have come for your parts. How do you trick them? What do they take from the palace? Everyone can answer one question. So I think it's been 15 cycles. Was that right, Greg? We all wake up in the midst of another droid, one we hadn't located yet, one of our allies who remained asleep, being torn in half by Jawas and carried off outside. And they're coming for us. I feel them yanking on the carafe on top of my head, trying to pull whatever's inside. Utini, Utini! And I wake, get your hands off of me! And I start boiling the water, trying to shake them loose.
I think the Jawas have also power droids are very useful to the Jawas, and so they're trying to take the arm off of me so that they can better sell me, because I'm obviously been modified and stock is better, and I'm whacking them away, and backing up as quickly as I can, trying to get into one of the maintenance tunnels that goes to the kitchen, because I know that something in the kitchen would surely be angry at the Jawas.
I believe AG-46 is awoken because one of the Jawas, a pair of them, are working together to try to yank away the blaster rifle from its hands, thinking this is an excellent prize. Fetch so much jingle. It awakens and swats at them, but doesn't seem terribly impressed. It's just Jawa.
Good old Jawas. I think FX81 is just standing, kind of like with the Womp Rats, in the entryway to the medical bay, trying to prevent these Jawas from getting in and stealing everything in there. But he's not very fast, and he doesn't have a lot of good ways to keep Jawas off of him. And they keep shooting him with ion blasts. Yeah, he's nicked several of them with his mini scalpels and like razor saws and stuff. But there's just this one Jawa that just keeps standing there shooting him with this ion gun, and the other Jawas are just crawling over him, past him through the door, and stealing all of the leftover parts from his to-be medical droid friend. And he's kind of helpless.
Hearing the shots of ion fire, knowing that is no good for anything we have going on here in the palace, Coffee, our CEO, runs towards the med bay, and I think he's going to spray out the coffee grinds or the calf grinds into the Jawa's eyes to try and blind them so they can't keep firing ion shots at FX81. You little rats, get out of here!
And I think the power droid has made it to the kitchen, and discovers the answer to one of the questions: what system would fail without your power? And that's the holding cells for the kitchen that keep all of the animals inside. So this isn't going to work, because all of the critters that were being saved for a delicious meal have either died in their cells or run off.
Oh, I don't know about that, Greg. I mean, the Sarlacc digests stuff for thousands of years. There's got to be something in there that just keeps making more of itself and eating its own young.
Oh, all right. No, I'm done with that. I find that thing. It's a horrifying, like mass with. Oh, you know what? It's shoot, what's the thing from?
It's a Raftar.
Yes, with the tentacles. And I think we're just the power droid's just waiting there, contemplating if this is really the best move, holding the vibro axe. I'll let you guys decide whether that is. It's held in with like actual metal bars.
Raftar, oh dear God. Just like mind blown. Wow. Yes, that's now I can't think straight. That's great.
I think the medical droid takes the moment of reprieve from all the ion blasts and squawks out in binary to the Jawas. I know where all the parts are kept. Please follow me. Leave my med bay alone. And try to talk reason to Jawas doesn't work very well, but I start leading them towards the kitchen. Yes, I know where the droid bodies are buried.
Okay. I think AG-46 realizes like its first instinct is smack them away, and then I'll just blast them. But then its memory banks fire, and I'm going to answer a question. Where have you last seen this intruder? How did they foil you then? And I think he notices the ion blasters that they have. And that is how they defeated him before. That is how a bunch of Jawa spent time in a sandcrawler after being disabled and then sold. So he will... I think he's going to try to get the hell out of Dodge. So while they're being led to the med bay, he is going to be skulking away, trying to just gendered him, but it will be trying to move away to not be shot by an ion cannon, because that's terrifying. It's so sad that it happened to our medical droid body.
And I think as the Jawas filter in to the kitchen, where is COF33? Which, by the way, I just got the name and it's hilarious.
I believe he would have been at the entrance to the med bay. He shot coffee grounds all over into the Jawas' eyes to stop them. If FX led them away, I think he does not go towards the kitchen because he knows what's there. So he's actually going to hide behind the Bacta tank.
Yeah, I imagine you hear the sounds of a vibro axe spinning up, because your hypersonic sensors can probably detect such things. And then you hear the very upset sounds of a Rathtar and see like coming down through the maintenance tunnel, the power droid waving its axe and tentacles, and then panicked Jawas running out as the Rathtar erupts into the medical bay and starts throwing the Jawas all about.
This is not what I imagined had happened or would happen when I led them here, but I think it works nicely.
I think CEO is going to just hide as much as possible, hoping that the Jawas will run out towards their sandcrawler, and then the Rathtar will precede them, seeing these moving targets, and it just keeps rolling through the tunnels into the throne room, and then following the Jawas out to their sandcrawlers, where it presumably bakes into the hot Tatooine double sun.
As they all run out, FX81 feels a sense of relief wash over him as he remembers that he used to work on a sandcrawler, which was not his favorite job. He, in fact, hated it because he was constantly having to not heal Jawas. They don't get injured very much, and there's not much of them to work on, even if they do get injured. But he was asked to do all kinds of other menial chores and tasks, things that he hated doing, like chopping up little pieces of womp rat for them to cook in different gruesome ways or eat raw. And it was just entirely uncivilized for a medical droid to be doing functions like that. And when Jabba bought him from the Jawas, that was the best day of his life.
So, at this point, since I chose the intruders, then we move on to the next stage? Is that right? My understanding.
Yes. Now we go on to you have to choose one on Decadence Dies or the Force Seeks Balance.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Decadence Dies. I think releasing a Raftar in the palace has done quite a number on it. And a part of the palace is made inaccessible by rock and sand. Adjust the map accordingly. I think that is going to be the kitchen. The kitchen is now completely devastated.
Good one. Oh man, you beat me to it. That's exactly where I was headed. That's perfect.
All right. So now it seems like everyone's kind of passing the torch off to the next person. Do I choose the timeline, or does it go to the next person?
You'll choose the time passes, and then
Okay.
Joshua will bring us out after that amount of time has passed.
Okay. And so I'm going to say,
If you pick one of the longer ones, you get to do additional questions when we come back too.
oh man. Well, that seems, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's jump. Well, I kind of want to don't take that. I don't want to take that. Excuse me. I'm going to jump 49 cycles. just shy. We're getting up there now.
Cool. We'll be sitting in darkness for 1 minute.
Awaken droids and defend the palace. All right. So now we have a family of moisture farmers that have just walked right into the palace. Whether they found a way to open the door or it was just open, we don't know. And they are just attempting to scavenge anything they can find. They're probably looking for people to help them work on their farm. I think specifically they might be looking at the holding cells and into my back to tank to see if they can find another hand to help them on the farm. They're a family of 5, 2 men and 3 children. And the kids are 2 very young children, about 5 and 7, and then 1 teenager, we'll say 15.
As soon as coffee awakens, I'll start brewing up a pot, seeing that we have guests. At this point, it's the beans in the water's long stagnant, so it comes out looking a little moldy. Somebody hasn't been cleaning his carafe as much as he should, but these cycles are passing. What do you do? But he begins speaking to them and offering the calf to let them go about their way. They're not going to find any help here. Certainly not from me.
Yeah, I think AG is going to follow the designation, though this isn't much of a challenge. Start working towards these moisture farmers. You must leave this palace. It is under our protectorship until Jabba returns.
CO speaks up. I do believe he means what he is saying. You should go. You don't want to be on the wrong end of his blaster rifle, and this does belong to Jabba. You do not want to mess with our Lord Slugship.
Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, I was about to ask you, Joshua, is the Ithorian still alive in the back to tank at this point?
I would say yes, definitely. That's some good Bacta.
So are they starting to drain it?
Nice.
That's definitely their goal if they can get past the assassin droid.
So I think I bump into once again the servant droid, and sort of like push him out of the way so that the moisture farmers can get past. And I'm gesturing at AG-46 with the one arm as if to be like, stand down, stand down.
Let us let them pass and take what they want. I cannot keep the Ithorian alive forever.
Hearing FX say to let them pass, CO is going to actually admonish you again, Gonk, for running into him, and he's going to say, "You're not the boss of me. You can't tell me what to do, Gonk." And then when he hears FX, so it shall be. This is the way, and he will allow them to get past to do what they need to do, because FX was his supervisor in the past. It is unknown why he went from being a medical droid to a labor droid, but CO once failed him. Perhaps he administered the wrong liquid when in fact he was supposed to be giving a Bacta shot. He gave a shot of some other unknown liquid found in the med bay, and it ended up killing the Gamorrean guard he was working on. And so CO has failed him, and he always dreamed of being a medical droid, but now he just serves the coffee.
And I think it's at this point that the power droid remembers his designation is Gonk.
Yes.
There it is. GNK 221.
That's perfect. I think FX81 also remembers that one of my questions is which droid would assist you in the clinic, and did they do so willingly? And it was definitely the labor droid. Even after he was repurposed and his memory was probably messed up a little bit of his previous medical job, I would still bring him in to heat up, different concoctions and serums that I needed for treating my patients.
Occasionally, you used his built-in calf maker as an autoclave to clean the utensils.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were essentially a brewing potion droid for a while there. My question is, though, did you do that willingly, even after you were, exiled from the facilities?
Not only did I do it willingly, I think I did it eagerly. I was so distraught that I was a disappointment to my medical droid friends. My makers, they made me for a purpose, and that was to go to med school. And I couldn't cut it here in Jabba's palace. And any opportunity to prove that I am still valuable, that I'm not just a coffee maker, CO takes in a heartbeat.
Perfect.
In a motivator beep, I should say.
FX81 also, as these moisture farmers are going about their business draining the bacta tank, he'll help them if they need help. But he does ask them to remove the body of the Twi'lek as well as return for his assistance in draining the tank and reawakening the Ithorian.
What is the, because you do such a good Ithorian, Rich, what does the Ithorian say as it wakes up?
Terrible Ithorian.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
No, I love it. I love it. Let me summon my bad Ithorian voice. It's my own fault because I mentioned that I like it. This is very interesting. What? Yeah, it appears that everyone is dead. I think for AG46, as all of this conversation is going on, and it is looking at all the sand on the moisture farmers and the children, it remembers when it was stripped bare by the sand, when it had been lost in the desert many cycles ago. It witnessed a pair of individuals, a human and a Zabrak, on the sands, fighting each other. It crawled to the Zabrak too late to stop or interfere, and accessed all the information on this particular Zabrak, finding that it had a significant bounty on its head. That is when AG46 was able to collect on the bounty for this particular Zabrak with its lightsaber. And it purchased a bunch of retrofitting. And it took upon itself becoming a bounty hunter, an assassin droid, with all the new skill softs that it programmed into itself. Made its entire existence and designation all new.
FX, what was the Ithorian in the bacta tank for? Do you know what injury put him in there?
I think it was a swoop bike crash. I think the Ithorian was a pilot for Jabba. Not sure if per se. I'll let someone else decide if the Ithorian was a member of Jabba's chosen swoop bike gang or just a kind of a courier contract hire type thing. He was definitely a pilot of some sort.
I think he was part of Jabba's chosen, which makes it interesting that he would go with these moisture farmers.
Perhaps.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just curious if anyone used the direct force, or does anyone scare one of the children?
You know, I think I think AG does, unless somebody else wants to scare the child. I don't think it actually kills any of them, but I think it's, you know, a big honking hunk of metal with a giant blaster rifle. So yeah.
And you did threaten them when they showed up, so that makes
It's true.
sense.
It's true. That was the intent.
So you can answer a second question if you desire.
Yeah. So I've only got a couple questions left. This is crazy. I love it. My questions are: why do you have a bounty on your own head? Who might seek to collect it still? And which droid once came to your rescue? I think so. FX, you were facilitating these moisture farmers and hooking them up with the Ithorian, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think seeing you facilitating all of this, it reminds me of the time when you once came to AG-46's rescue. I think I'm trying to tie it to like Jabba related stuff that I know of. I think the AG-46 had argued for a higher bounty on a weak way that Jabba had decided needed to go. And so AG-46 went out, took out the weak way, and had to take out 5 or 6 others to pull off the job. And when it came back, it argued for more credits, and Jabba wasn't having it. And AG didn't recognize that there was a trapdoor, and there's the possibility of a rancor, which probably isn't going to like actually feast on the marrow of AG's innards, but definitely going to mash it. So, what is it that FX did to rescue AG-46? Did you talk AG down? Did you find your way on your little motors into the Rancor pit and give it an exit? Did you turn off the power?
I think AG and FX had a bit of a camaraderie going, and you know, FX lives in the palace, but AG goes out quite a bit, so you don't know all the ins and outs. So as you mentioned, knowing of the trap door, I think I just heard about what was going on and sent you a detailed schematic of the palace, so you would have all the tactical information you need to dodge that trapdoor. And perhaps the intel alone was enough to convince you to change your conversation with Jabba, or to just find your own way out of the pit.
Nice. I love it. Yes, I think with that in mind, AG-46 steps out of the trapdoor's way, and Jabba becomes so incensed that he has his protocol droid taken out, vaporized, because Jabba has decided that it was the protocol droid's fault, and the AG was able to get out of that without being destroyed utterly. There we go. That's my second question. Thank you.
So do we go to time passes?
Yes, and if I could implore us to go for something like 200 cycles, because I need to use the restroom.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Although I think that violates our. But you have your cam off, so we won't know.
Yeah, I was gonna pick one of the big ones anyway. So let's just do 200 cycles, and I'll think about. Oh, we should do.
You do get to choose one from the Dirty Crumbles or Twin Suns Burn.
Well, and should we do the Decadence Dies or 4-6 balance first?
Oh yes, we should.
So what do you choose from?
We've been doing the Decadence Dies a lot, so I think since we actually helped someone this time, we're going to go with the Force Seeks Balance. Ooh. I think I want to do a droid's service records are found, and what do they reveal? And I'm going to ask you, Greg, to tell us something about yourself.
Sorry, I couldn't find my mouse. So yeah, they've cleared out the Ithorian, and the moisture farmers are fading into the background. And I think as the Ithorian is leaving, they go to the motor pool to try and get a swoop bike, but all the swoop bikes are gone, and they're frustrated. They bang on the console there, and they leave in a huff. And GNK 221 sort of goes over to the motor pool because he's still trying to follow his basic programming, and the console has been damaged, and it is his responsibility to restore power, even though he can't. And he sees his service records are scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and he sees that it's just constant demerits for failing to provide power for Jabba's Chosen, and failing to work on the sail barge when requested, and failing to appear for work. And it's this long list of his failures at his primary programming. And as he has lost his memory, he does not remember why he was so bad at his job.
That's great. Thank you. Should we do the Dirk Cumble's Twin Suns Burn first, or okay? I think I'm going to pick a bantha herd takes up residence in the palace. I think they take up residence in the hangar, and they just start eating all of the wires and things, and of course the acidity of their droppings starts wearing through the Duracrete floor in there, and the smell is very offensive, but it offers them shade and respite from the harsh elements, so they can't be made to leave, at least right now. But I imagine it's very dangerous for droids. Not only are they big, but like all the walls are just emitting sparks and steam and stuff because they keep chewing on stuff.
Very nice. So I guess we're going to come back, and then I believe it's Rich's turn again, is it not?
Yep, it'll be my turn. This is awesome. And so yeah, let's take our big long break. You chose the 4-minute one, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Perfect. See you guys in a few minutes. Awaken, droids, and defend the palace! All of you are awakened immediately by a very foreign and powerful presence. A Sith apprentice has entered Jabba's palace. Hearing almost 300 cycles ago, this was a place of untold riches. The questions we must answer: how do you first discover their presence? I just answered that for you. You feel it, some weird disturbance in the Force. The questions we still have yet to answer: what have they come for? Who kills them and how? Each of us may answer 0, 1, or 2 questions. And I'm going to say that the Sith apprentice first appears, or first is seen by C0F33. It is a female Ratataki. This place is dark, and she is seeing things by the light of her red lightsaber.
CO feels the presence, and it feels like an electric current kind of runs through his joints, and that causes him to awake. And he sees this terrifying image in front of him, and he doesn't make a move. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't begin boiling water even. This is not a guest he wishes to serve. He hopes that if he just sits here and doesn't move, she'll walk on, and perhaps AG can deal with her. But he's going to let out a little signal, a broadcast on the palace network, as it were, to alert all the droids that we have a visitor. They are scary. No coffee for them. No calf. And he is going to wait until the apprentice kind of passes by him, and he's going to start shuffling off to find where AG is and prod AG to get him to start moving.
And I think there's a subroutine deep in GNK 221's programming that suddenly fires off. And it's as if like 1,000 alarm bells are going off inside of his head. And I'm going to answer 2 questions. One from the what have they come for, and one of my own. What illegal cargo did you once conceal? It was a Sith holocron that I no longer possess, but I believe she may be looking for. And so I've been programmed to somehow sense the Sith, and the Jawas never found it. So I am panicking and quickly going through the maintenance tunnels, trying to locate AG-46.
FX81 feels the life-giving Bacta and other substances that he still has a small reserve of, kind of vibrating with anxiety in reaction to the sheer negative energy that the Sith exudes. And FX81 also thinks the only proper course of action is to find AG-46 to deal with whatever this is, because he has no intention or means of dealing with it himself. So I think we all converge on the wherever you are, AG-46.
All the different droids wait for the Sith apprentice to pass, and then rolling on treads, walking real slow, hobbling over. Everyone's just hauling to find AG sitting somewhere.
Exactly.
Nice. Yeah, I think that AG is found at the holding cells because we haven't had anything at the holding cells. And per some conversation in chat, there is at least one individual that is here in Carbonite. There are 3 holding cells that are like force shields that have skeletons in them. It's been 300 years, right? No air from the outside of them was cycled in, no food whatsoever, so they expired. And AG is there, and it sees C0, FX, and G and K making their way in. It says, "We must defend the palace. It is our programming."
Right, and that is why we came to you, AG. It's they have weapons.
My blaster is not clean. It feels familiar. What is the designation of the intruder?
Means Sith, but yes.
Gonk for Sith is Gonk. Sweet. Thought they were a myth. Why would he come here? There is nothing left.
I think FX81 remembers the story that AG46 told him about finding this lightsaber, and excitedly starts beeping, and my head spins a little bit. AG46, do you still have this lightsaber you mentioned to me once in your harrowing tales?
There was no call for a lightsaber among the bounty profile for the Zabrak. I am not trained for melee. And so it will pull Darth Maul's lightsaber out, and looking among the group, we'll hand it to C0F33.
Why are you Oh, this is all Gong's fault.
How is this Gonk's fault?
Everything's Gong's fault. He probably has something. It's him.
Is this true, Gonk? And AG46 is now like standing near one of the holding cells, bringing up its blaster rifle and waiting, because there are 4 entrances to the holding cells based off of our map. Oh my god, this is the worst idea. It's so insecure.
Well, those are just maintenance tunnels, so it's not too bad.
Oh, that's true. Okay, it's just maintenance tunnels.
But Gonk makes a sad noise that yes, this one actually is my fault. I believe she may think I have something.
CO, maybe you were right about Gonk all along.
It's good to hear it, sir. So, what do you... I don't know that CO necessarily comes up with this whole cloth on his own, but perhaps CO, he has this lightsaber. He doesn't know how to do it. He has it like kind of loosely gripped in one hand and presses it with the other, and it turns on. And he just starts frantically walking about and draws the attention of the Sith apprentice. And he just kind of runs through the tunnels, leading the Sith apprentice on, just getting around the corners before they get to him. and hopefully that provides enough of a distraction that somebody more equipped than him can take care of the threat.
Oh, and I'm imagining like she's drawing the lightsaber along the wall, and you leave the scoring marks, right? And the Duracrete just melts and chips away. C-Zero's quicker than we originally would have imagined. How do we kill her?
So I think she's running through this path that CO is leading her on, and as Gonk starts to feel that I think maybe Gonk is like linked into what's left of the palace camera system, right? And he feels that she's getting tired and frustrated, and she comes exasperated, and as she cannot feel Gonk's intention, Gonk is only a droid, he suddenly presses one of the door close buttons and squishes her right in just the middle of a bulkhead. Boom. Oh no, even better, I don't kill her yet, I take off her arm.
Yes!
Because this is Star Wars and someone's arm is coming off.
Yes! Oh,
So now
great.
she's bleeding, her arm has been crushed, and her lightsaber is on the other side of the door. So I don't kill her, but I have removed her weapon.
Oh, I love it. The inordinately fast closing door is the best. And as we know, it's Star Wars canon that you can be killed by them. That is awesome.
And I think she's very quickly reaching through the door with the Force, trying to pull her lightsaber, or lightsabers, I guess. Lightsaber. Back through the door. Like she's trying to do the Jedi carve through the door thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you find her, AG.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, so I come upon her. She is weaponless. She is concentrating on something completely different. And AG... I wonder if there's a bounty on you. No matter. Then it draws up but it does not use the disruptor setting, and it just blaster. We kind of cut away. You see the light flashes of 8 blaster bolts, because Sith, and just to make sure. Then I think he's going to drag her body to the holding cells. Like drag her by an ankle. Not anything. Just drag her to the holding cells, open it up, and put her carcass in one of the holding cells. Perhaps one day I will get a bounty for this. I will share it with all of you.
CO is going to now that the threat has been dealt with, just drop the lightsaber somewhere in the maintenance halls, and go back to Gonk and FX and inspect them for any kind of wounds, any sort of malfunctions in the fracas. Because with the last visitors, the moisture farmers, he pilfered a set of tools from them, a basic repair kit, and he's been holding on to it, afraid that AG might try and steal it, or that FX would feel like he was usurping his position as a healer. While FX is a medical droid, we are all but inorganic, and we need tools to help us out. And CO is going to take these crude tools that he doesn't really know how to manipulate, and to GNK and try and help him at least repair the power cord that was ripped from him on the swoop bike. That was awfully brave of you, GNK 221. I am sorry for all I have said to you over the years.
And I'm going to answer a second question, because we're allowed to with the Sith. What droid once relied on you for power? Do you resent them for it, or take pleasure in it? And I think it's a complicated answer, but I think COF33 initially was not built to super boil the water necessary for cafe, and so relied on GNK to provide the extra power boost. And I think at one point I did resent you for this because I had better things to do keeping the kitchen powered. But now at this moment, our friendship is kind of bloomed, and I take some pleasure in it.
Just us against the world, eh, old friend? Charge me once more before the sleep.
Gonk, gonk, gonk.
Oh, but he can't. He can't charge you before.
I think you repaired me though.
Oh, right. Oh,
yep.
Awesome. That's
Yep.
right. That's right. With the toolkit. Sorry. I'm a step behind. Awesome. Cool. So all questions have been answered for the Sith Apprentice. Everybody answered all questions they wish, it sounds like. So we will move on. I choose one on Decadence Dies or the Force Seeks Balance.
And the Force Seeks Balance.
Oh,
Two
and
yeah, this is the end game. You start answering a
both.
lot of questions.
Nice. Okay. A reminder of Jabba's cruelty goes up in flames. What was it? Ooh. I think that the device in that droid room that was used to hot poker Gonk's feet during the fight with all the lightsabers running around. I think at one point C0 had like waved it around and kind of chopped it in 6 pieces accidentally on purpose, which I think is perfect for the conversation the two of you just had. So yeah, that is what goes up in flames. Nice. This is awesome. And now I'll jump to.
I was just gonna say, do all the droids kind of gather at the edge of the room as they see it burning and just kind of nod?
Yeah.
This is our palace now.
Until Jabba returns.
Right, until Jabba returns. And then all deflated CO walks back to his spot and power.
And as AG-46 walks back to its spot, it looks down at the bandolier and sees that all of the canisters for its disruptor have been used up. And it checks the power on the blaster portion of the rifle, and those last shots were used to take down this Ratataki. So a droid's weapon or tool is no longer functional. How will they fight? Note this on the character sheet. How will AG-46 fight? It walks over and picks up Darth Maul's lightsaber, as well as this Sith Apprentice's lightsaber, and places them into his carapace and goes and stands there with no weapons. Fun. All right, I get to choose a time period, and then it's someone else going. Let's see here. Our time period is on the New Republic. We've already done. Which one of the cycles do we choose on? Is this this is the first one on New Republic? Is that right? We just want to make sure we struck through all the ones we were supposed to. So I'm going to go with 68 cycles. That's going to be fun. I'm going to be doing even more. Oh, man. All right, here we go. 68 cycles will pass. I will choose one from Duracrete Crumbles or Twin Suns Burn. Let me do that choice and then the time. Oh, should we do it after we come back? No. I'll do it before.
Real quick, I'm sorry. This last one we did one Duracrete Crumbles and one.
We did one of each. Yes.
One of each. Okay.
Yeah, it was the thing where Greg was like, "No, Rich, you're doing it wrong," and so I did it right. Now I choose one from Duracrete Crumbles or Twin Suns Burn. Let's see what we have left. We haven't taken much from Twin Suns Burn, right? This is our first time here.
The Bantha Herd is in there.
Yeah,
Oh.
and there should be one that you just chose if we did 2, right?
I thought I took it from.
No, Force 6 balance and
Oh, that was one of each of those. I see.
yeah.
Did we do Womp Rats Infest the Palace? And didn't mark it out?
No,
Well,
that was
it's one of the invaders, but then they can come back later.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And we can't drive them out.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Womp Rats Infest the Palace. And so we got Womp Rats and Banthas. Yes. Yes. So Womp Rats can infest the palace. What evidence can be seen? What do they destroy? So the evidence is that there's like rat droppings all over, like these little pebble things and trails and all in the corners and the like. And what do they destroy? I'm going to say that they take up main residence in Jabba's throne room because there's just enough light there to be comfortable. And they start chewing on all the pieces of Jabba's like palanquin and all the other levels and everything else there. So Jabba's throne room just becomes this giant literal rat nest. Yeah, awesome. 2 minutes will pass, and then we will pass it to Greg, right? You have it next? Awesome.
Awaken, droids, and defend the palace. Once again, that big main door of Jabba's opens. It creaks and strains as it has not opened in a long time. And immediately a Thorian, not an Thorian, the three eyeballs. I forget their name. Grand walks in and starts typing something on the thing, and the door immediately starts going down again, and it frustratedly starts hitting the buttons again and goes up faster as a hut floats in on this hovering throne, and he is surrounded by more Garan and a few Gamorreans, and they immediately start just sort of evaluating the palace as they're walking through, opening up panels. The hut is laughing a little bit and gesturing to several robed figures. It's unclear whether they're human. They're wearing these masks with those slits, and he's gesturing as if he was like already showing someone something he owns.
CEO wakes up and gets the boil going. Unfortunately, there is no water remaining in his reservoirs, and it's just heating up the glass carafe, and it cracks and shatters. And he holds a tray of broken glass and mugs, and he just says, "Master, you've returned." And he approaches the hut.
And I think immediately a Gran like slaps a restraining bolt on you and just gestures you aside. And to another Gran who's like starting to like makes you sit down and just puts you up against a wall.
FX81 sees this and was, like rolling forward to greet them, and offer his services, but he immediately stops, very slowly turns around, and starts sending out a signal to the other droids. Our friend C0 has been restraining bolted. We must defend him. We must defend the palace. These are not guests. These are intruders.
And I think Gonk is in the hangar bay when he gets this message. And he's been doing his best to tidy up all the bantha poop. Gonk is getting really frustrated with the amount of poop in the palace at this point, because there's womp rats and there's banthas, and really can AG-46 not do anything about this. And when he hears this, he like picks up the little bantha shovel he's got, and he starts wailing on what he knows to be one of the power panels, and it falls open because all the bolts have rusted a little bit, and he starts pulling out all of the power so that the palace lights start going out, and some of the systems, like the doors, start acting a little bit weird. He's going to try and take apart all he can in the hangar bay before he runs off to the holding cells.
This hut is not Jabba. We must continue to defend the palace. AG-46 will walk out of its place in the holding cells and stride towards where a bunch of this hut's minions are trying to clear out the throne room, and then try to open the iris above to allow new sunlight to come in. And then does he already slapped a restraining bolt on? Yeah, I can't allow that. So it will draw out a lightsaber and start advancing. These guys run the hell away. It's so that it will go to CO F-33 and remove the restraining bolt. You're free to assist me in defending the palace. But it hands the lightsaber at C0 F-33. You know what to do.
CO takes it, turns it on, and he turns about, dropping the tray and the mugs and glass, and it goes clattering. And he just starts walking to the Gran. You are not Jabba. Get out of the palace.
What's going on with the medical droid?
I think that the hut and his followers, expected to live here. So they've brought repulsor sleds with supplies. And while all this commotion is going on, you hear blaster fire and screams, and obviously the hum of lightsabers in the air. And the medical droid is just slowly moving these repulsor lifts in the darkness into various cubbies and corners of the of the palace, so that if there are any useful supplies, we can have them to repair and maintain the palace ourselves. I say over the communication we have, keep them busy. I am collecting useful things.
CO is going to, in the interest of keeping them busy, he's going to run into Jabba's throne room, waving the lightsaber around to try and get the Womp Rats scared to scatter throughout the palace, thinking that they'll be better at distracting and engaging with these intruders than CO. CO he's a host. He's the host with the most. And he doesn't know how to help these guys give up the ghost. So he's gonna scare those Womp Rats out and then wave the lightsaber around. Go, 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 go. Get you pests, get.
And I think it's right as this is happening that Gonk has plugged into the intercom system, which he has very carefully not damaged, and is just playing this high-pitched wail that's very unpleasant to the organics, that we can, of course, just EQ out of our systems. And he's like hardwired that. There's no way without like a serious day or two of welding to undo it. It's stuck now.
Nice. So as C0 moves through with its lightsaber, AG-46 holds the lightsaber but doesn't fire it until it's time to attack, because it's just kind of a giant signal that you're going to attack. But I have a feeling that this hut didn't come in all by itself. It's been 300 cycles since Jabba went away, so it probably has some guards, maybe some Nikto. So I think AG takes quite a few hits here, a la IG-11. He's getting shot 5 or 6 times and barely reacting to it, but continuing to see internals damaged before it starts to stab a few of the Nikto, and then it powers down the lightsaber because it can't block blaster bolts. That's like Force stuff. This is just a giant laser sword. So yeah, AG is making its way over to FX. Do you need assistance, medical droid?
Of course, I am always looking for assistance from my fellow droids. I think there could be some useful supplies in here, and I know this place is falling into ruin. When Jabba does return, I would like it to be in working order.
Understood.
So let us take all that we can.
From the intruders? We take from the intruders?
Yes.
Understood. And then AG will start going back to the bodies that it's eviscerated and picking them clean of stuff to take to FX-81.
I've just got this like stockpile of crates in the med bay now that I've been offloading from the repulsor sleds.
We see the blankets moved askew from the Twi'lek girls.
Yeah, moisture farmers took her, didn't they?
Oh yeah, that's right.
I know I asked them to, but I don't know if we ever decided if they actually did or not.
That's true.
Maybe there's just like this old like brownish stain that was the blood from where she was.
Mm-hmm.
I think what finally drives the hut out is that Gonk finds the ventilation controls and routes all of the air through the hangar bay. And so the whole place starts to reek of bantha sweat. Plus the high-pitched wailing is what finally pushes them out.
I think as things start to settle, of course they take most of their supplies with them, but FX-81 digs through these crates and finds something. There's a little gleam in the lights on his head, and he slowly rolls over to CO and hands him a new glass pitcher for his head, and dragging behind him is this giant keg full of fresh water.
FX, you are my hero. I drop the lightsaber again, place the pot back on my head, and open up my chest, fill the reservoir once more, and start boiling. And it just looks like I'm relaxed. The CO just kind of relaxes his joints and sits into a chair. Oh, the brew.
Thank you for allowing me to be useful. There are no organics to serve, so I must learn new functions.
Do we all answer the questions that we need to answer? Because I believe you get to choose 0, 1, or 2. I have answered all of mine.
I have one question, but like I'm just kind of.
I will remind you that the next intruder defeats us.
Oh, then I'm definitely saving it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 questions left, but I kind of almost don't want to answer them in a way. Like I'm really trying to think of an interesting tact for them. So as of right now, I'm not going to answer any of them.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same spot. I've got 2 left, but I don't really have good answers for them yet. So
yeah, I think I had a good one. It would have been a fair bit for an earlier intruder had I thought of it then, and it's kind of now it's past its where it would come up. So I'm trying to re-stew on this one. So yeah, I'm good on questions this round.
Okay, then we move on to choose once on both Decadence dies and the Force seeks balance. A droid's memory is corrupted. What memory is false or untrue? And how is this revealed? If anyone has a memory specifically that they think would be interesting for this, you're more than welcome to take it.
I got something. And it actually ties into one of my questions.
Perfect.
The memory that was false was that I was given from my old master to Jabba in exchange for paying off a debt. And the hope was that by giving Jabba a medical droid or a droid with basic medical functions, that debt would be paid. That memory is false. What the master actually did was give Jabba a droid with a thermal detonator in his carapace, ready to go off because he was tired of dealing with this Hutt's nonsense. Unfortunately for the master, and fortunately for everyone in the palace, the mind wipe, the memory wipe that happened so soon thereafter, rewrote the code for this lurking time bomb ticking in his chest. And this is revealed, right? That's the next part of the question. Let me see here. This false memory is revealed when over the intervening cycles, the carapace is open to be refilled with the reservoir, and the water splashes over across the thermal detonator, and it begins going haywire. And CO stares at it for a long time, not aware of what it is, and he turns to everyone else. AG, what is? And that this electrical spasming across the unit that has been installed in him refreshes that moment, that memory of, oh, I was sent here to blow up.
That is not good.
The second one.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling. Second one, I have an old hollow emitter switches on and displays a message. What is the message about, and who is it for? and I know who it was for. FX81. It was for your dancer friend.
Oh,
What is the message about?
I think that as a way to escape servitude to Jabba, she had agreed to be a spy for the Empire.
Oh, wait, for the Empire or for Lando?
Oh, that's fine too. I like that better. Much more charming. Yeah, she had agreed to be a spy, and so the Hollow is Lando sending her a message that he had received the security codes and the intel that she had sent, and that they would be getting her out of Jabba's palace very soon.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I love that. That makes me very happy. Good one.
So the next one we have is we have Time Passes. And I am going to go with 173 cycles. And let's see. Oh, this is good because we had to get the Womp Rats out of the throne room. And so without knowing it, COF33, you damaged some of the structural pillars. And suddenly Jabba's treasury collapses through the floor. What horrors and decadences were stored within?
The horrors that fall through Jabba's treasure room is the innumerable different captives and prisoners that he has had sealed in carbonite or various other less traditional means of bounty hunting, and it is a necropolis of people who have done Jabba wrong, and he has had them mummified, taxidermied in all sorts of different horrendous ways so that he can levitate through his treasury and remember all of the people who tried to get him and could never do it. Amidst it all are treasures untold, but the thing that draws all of our eyes is the new organic presence and the terrifying ways in which they've been treated.
So now, we will sit in darkness for 3 minutes. And then the next intruder defeats us.
All right.
I believe, Cody, you're bringing us out of this one.
Awaken, droids, and defend the palace. So, after another great long slumber, a well-trained foe approaches Jabba's palace. If I can tweak it a little bit, Greg, I think this isn't a First Order soldier, but these are the next thing to come through. They bear dark armor, rounded and shaped, similar to the ones we all witnessed when Jabba dealt with Lord Vader and his guards. But it is all off just enough to show that time has passed innumerable since we last saw any organics. It is a well-trained foe. They come in well-equipped, armed to the T, and immediately start blasting any life forms, any lingering pests and banthas, cleaning out this palace. And we overhear them over the comms. I cleared out the hangar bay. Med bay open for business. And they begin to create a operating base of some sort here on the Tatooine surface. The droids we all awaken, and at this point, I would say my thought here. I think they've already begun to set up shop. They're whereas the last hut came in and we awoke to the door opening. We wake up and these beings are spread throughout the palace already. We woke up too slow to defend our palace this time. How does that look?
I think FX81, most of my appendages, won't come out of the chassis anymore. I've got like a little sprayer for disinfecting wounds and maybe a short little pincer or something, and that's it. But I've very, very slowly now, because most of my treads are falling off. Probably as they've been milling about over the last hours or maybe even days, it's probably taken me at least a day to get from the med bay to the holding cells, where I've holed up trying to wake up AG46, because I know I'm mostly useless at this point. But hopefully I can be of assistance to one of the more useful droids.
And I think Gonk was in the hangar bay when the soldiers come in, and immediately reaches into his chassis and pulls out the Vibra X, but it has rusted and is no longer useful. And he comes after one of them with it, and it glances off the armor and shatters, which actually makes one of the troopers chuckle a little bit as he pushes just pushes me aside and just reaches out, twists, and pulls off my protocol droid arm. This one's still functional. And it slaps me with a restraining bolt, and I power down and go back down onto my legs.
AG46 comes awake at the insistence, but its oculars are very dim. Do that kind of flashlight when it's almost out of battery life. Scans around, hears the troopers, the invaders, and so it reaches for the lightsaber, presses the button, and nothing happens. The battery that would power the Kyber crystal is long since failed. This is where we will fail.
CO, seeing their dark armor march about the palace, does not turn the boiler on, does not begin grinding the calf. Instead, he tries to shuffle down the maintenance tunnels, hoping to get to the hangar bay where he can find Gonk, who might be able to give him just a little bit of juice he needs to power one last ditch effort. And he shuffles out of a hatch in the hall, and he sees Gonk, just the back end of Gonk, sitting outside of a crate. And he turns the corner, and there's all these soldiers laughing at Gonk after they've slapped a restraining bolt on him. And CO reaches into his carapace and grabs the thermal detonator and tries to press it feebly, not knowing how to activate the thermal detonator, hoping that Gonk could give him the juice, the spark he needed just to let it go. But he has been restrained, and CO kind of hunches over and just holds the bomb in his hand. Would you like some calf? And he reaches it out to the soldiers.
FX81 turns to AG46 and says, even if we do fail at defending the palace, we will not have failed to try. And he sprays some Bacta on AG46 because it's the only thing he can do, and turns and starts very slowly moving towards the hangar bay, because he knows that that's where CO and Gonk are, and he hasn't heard anything from them in a while. On the way, he gets stuck on the carcasses of some womp rats from previous previous encounters, and he tries to spray them with Bacta to lube things up, but it doesn't work. And several hours later, some troopers come by. He flails wildly at them, sprays them with Bacta, and tries to pincer them. They just cut off his arms with vibro daggers and leave him there to just spin his head purposelessly. He blurts out a little goodbye to everyone.
So at the end here, and sorry, did you need something?
Yeah,
if you have any unanswered questions.
Yeah, I think AG46 was trying to make its way to the maintenance tunnels in an attempt to get to the hangar bay, but it's moving on too slowly, and one of the troopers grabs it from behind, slaps a restraining bolt on it, and throws it to the ground, and takes a pry bar and pops off the kind of shoulder, the bronze. Now, like, it's a big mess of patina and rot, and pries that off and says, the trooper says, hold on. He brings up a little display on his forearm, a little hollow. This is an Alderani protocol droid. Oh, you're going to fetch a fair price on the market. Drops the restraining bolt on AG46 and starts to pack it up because there's a bounty on it.
Okay, so now we have been defeated. If anyone has any other questions that they want to answer. No? I've answered all mine. Okay. Now we will sit again in silence for another 30 seconds or so. And then we will begin our sort of end of session procedure where we all get to do a a memory from a time before Jabba's death. It is our epilogue, but in the timeline, it is a prologue to all of the activities. And these are the last thoughts of your droid.
The last words that AG-46 says before it is drug off to be sold as a collector's item are, "I'm too weak. I'm too weak." And then it recovers a memory of the last time that it said such a thing. It's on a planet. There are these Alderani nobles who are quickly hurrying towards a shuttle with this iron moon above it. They rush to the shuttle to take off, and it blasts off as this searing laser lights up the sky, the last moments of Alderaan. The explosion of the planet slams rocks into the escape shuttle. And as AG-46, the protocol droid, looks at its charges, tries desperately to figure out how to pilot the shuttle as all of the life support systems fail, as the ship itself starts to crack open from the pressure of going through the atmosphere, of going into space, until finally it is thrown clear and it floats in space, looking at the remnants at the asteroid field that was once its home of Alderaan, saying, "I'm too weak. I'm too weak."
FX81 has a lot of time to think since he wasn't destroyed, and that's the only function he has left. And he remembers his time as a menial servant of the Jawas on the Sandcrawler, when he was asked to do things that were not his programming. And he thinks to himself that if he had just stayed with the Jawas, if Jabba had never bought him, he would still have someone to maintain him and to take care of him and to make him useful. But then he remembers his time spent here, not in service to Jabba, but in service to the other droids. And if he had a heart, it would warm just a little bit. And he decides that what has happened was what was supposed to happen, and he is glad that it did.
As the restraining bolt hits Gonk and the circuits surge inside of him, the only one that's left is the Sith subroutine, and it slowly clicks through the same memory over and over again. and it is at the Jedi Temple as the Jedi are being purged, and the librarian who used Gonk to power all of the protective systems, which they never got repaired, is quickly hustling him down a hallway. And she opens up a port on the side of Gonk and puts the Sith holocron inside of him and says, "This can never be found. This can never be found." And then she's struck in the back with a lightsaber as Gonk pretends to be powered off.
As CEO offers up his final gesture of hosting, he remembers his first day in Jabba's palace before he was given the CEO F-33 designation, when he was a droid traded to Jabba with the name of C4. And he's running through the maintenance tunnels trying to find a spot where he can do what must be done. And he fidgets with the thermal detonator inside his chest while an assassin droid chases after him, trying to get him to go where he needs to. He directs him through a room where his mind is wiped, and he is pushed into the med bay next to a Gonk power droid and a converted medical droid, and given a new purpose. And CEO looks up and says, "Happy to be a part of the team. How can I assist?" And while he never did a great job with them, he likes to think that they became friends, as close as droids can be. And though he failed FX and kept getting into fights with GNK, he didn't hate his new gig, serving coffee.
Oh, those
And
are all
now-
so good.
And now we audibly breathe. Yay! We played the game.
That's good stuff, man. I love Star Wars, and I love this. This game was amazing.
Wow,
That
that
was-
was so good. That was amazing. Oh, Greg, you've really made something special, man.
Well, a lot of the intruders and the Twin Suns, Derek Creek Crumbles, Force Seeks Balance. A lot of those are sort of reskinned from the skeletons. A lot of those are but the droids themselves, I spent more time on and essentially tried to get so that it was the designation was easy. In the skeletons, it's what is your name. But I tried to hit for something along the lines of love and humanity, something about like a failure, something about like a point of pride. So like a big success, a big failure, something about love, something extra, something that like affects another droid.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm happy with this one.
Yeah.
Fun fact: never actually played the skeletons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither, man. And I when I heard this, the concept of the skeletons, and then that Rich was putting this on, I was like, well, if I'm going to try it out, I might as well try it out Star Wars, right? Like that sounds like the best way to do anything. And yeah, I loved it, man. It was absolutely great job doing it. I think if I could just, because it kind of came up near the end where I re-flavored a thing, and I hope that was okay that I re-flavored the Intruder. It's definitely a tough challenge, like making that stuff when it's set to a canon, right? Like we have a concept of timelines for Star Wars. So if we spend too much time in the beginning where we go 100 cycles, 300 cycles, it makes those later ones harder to think about. So I mean, I think you did a great job really making it pretty seamless to go through the years like that.
And Michael Bradford, credit to him, when I originally pushed this out for some review early on, pointed out that because I was usually using like days, which can get kind of complicated in the Star Wars universe, because you're right, there is this sort of like timeline of like, okay, this so many years after the Battle of Yavin, right? Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And so he came up with like something more obscure, like cycles, and was like, oh yeah, because that's very droidy, right? Like, what's a cycle? We don't know. 400 cycles, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went 505 cycles into the future, and Death Troopers are everywhere now. That's amazing.
Are you, Rich? Are you going to use this timeline that's been created out, or is this going to be a thing that informs future Star Wars Saturday games?
I mean, there's just a few like touches, and
Yeah.
I want it to be true. So I'm hoping to update. We've got a little wiki that I still am updating, so I'm going to try to stick these things into the timeline just so they're touchstones for future.
Yeah, we've got
That's
at least a few surviving NPCs that could show up again, I guess.
Oh man, these guys were great. Your droids were so nice. You know, like some of them started terrible, but like they ended up really, really like I was super pulling for these guys.
Yeah. I did not expect to be feeling this way at the end of this game.
Right? It ended up being very touching.
Yeah.
And I think with droids, even more so than the skeletons, like there's this sense of, I don't know, like falling apart, like dysfunction. That I think just maybe because of my own personal experience with like sci-fi, it hits home and is more meaningful than like the idea of the skeletons. So I don't know. I think it turned out really good.
Definitely. And I think with Star Wars 2 droids, you know, the touchstone of droids is they have a specific personality. You know, skeletons, it's kind of really vague and you can make it anything you want, which is great. But going into Star Wars with the idea of droids, they each have their quirks and then they have weirder quirks and then they become friends. The first droids we ever see in Star Wars are friends. They're best friends. So,
Right.
It's definitely, it does a lot of heavy lifting with that. Yeah, it's great. Nothing else to say, I guess. It was wonderful.
You had a few questions at the end, Greg,
Yeah,
in the doc. Did you want to discuss those?
I don't know. I feel like they get a little, I don't know, deep. But I am interested. The one that I like the most is, how do our memories affect our sense of self? Because the game is ultimately about memory, and it is about the touchstone for me. But I don't know. This might get like a little more touchy-feely than Gauntlet normally gets post game. My brother-in-law actually experienced amnesia once. There is like a period of time that he cannot remember, and so it was really interesting to see somebody remove. He still remembered, of course, who he was, but there's like a good hour of his life he does not remember. And the shame is that it was kind of a party and he was having a good time until he got hit in the head. So that I find it interesting that although we are organic, we are susceptible to these same things. I believe that you are. Personally, I think your memories are pretty much all you ever are. That you are a collection of your experience and your memories. But I'm interested in anyone else's thoughts.
Yeah, I had a friend who had a similar experience. It was a longer thing. She was. Oh, go ahead, Rich.
No, Joshua, go on.
Oh, okay. She was married and was in a car accident and had amnesia for a period that put her back, I think, like 2 years as far as like where she was emotionally in the relationship. And so her husband, was 2 years ahead of her, like emotional intimacy wise. And that, as you can imagine, was like ridiculously difficult for both of them, being in completely different places than they thought they were. And she could remember a lot of things in that space, but it was like it was more of an emotional affectation than the actual physical memories of like what happened day to day or things like that. But yeah, it is really interesting. And I think as we played this game, we kind of came up with stuff for our droids, and that very clearly like influenced how we played them in the next scenes, and how we interacted with one another.
Yeah, Joshua, you hit the nail on the head. There's nothing else I could say that would do it any different. I think that kind of memory discovering mechanic throughout the game, you take it into the next scene, you take it into the next intruder, and it kind of really develops who you are. And you start out, and we just had, as droids with the wiped memories, we just have a job, and that is who we are, is that job. And then as the experience with the intruders informs what we do next, so does the awakening memories of, well, maybe before he was this, he was this. Maybe before this, there was a relationship. And I think the mechanics really let that concept shine of memory discovery and whatnot. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Joshua. That was really, yeah. I think it's fun. It's overall, it's just very interesting how role-playing games elicit these experiences and these memories in ourselves, which is kind of the meta level of the skeletons, right? Or the droids, right? We're looking through our own lives occasionally through these games, and I think that's not always as explicit as it is in a game like the Skeletons, where we think more about what we have. You don't have a perfect memory, right? There's things you have forgotten. We all have experienced this. You remember something, oh god, and to have that come back always sort of changes your life sometimes. Something you've forgotten you did, an interaction that meant a lot to somebody else, but perhaps has lapsed from your memory, but is still very clear in theirs. And I think that's sort of what I was driving for. And I think that's what Jason Morningstar was driving for when he originally wrote the book. That's at least what I got from it. Do we want to do like stars and wishes, or?
Sure.
Because I would love to throw a big old star to all of you. For Rich, for facilitating. Thank you so much for taking this weird little game. Cody, it was great to play with you.
Mm-hmm.
It was I'm always excited to play with new players, and I love how much you jumped on the servant droid, who can go into some really interesting places. I would think on further plays, but it can also. I loved the coffee or the cafe, and you used it so well repeatedly for all the intruders, it was just clever and fun. And Joshua, I love the medical droid. I am so happy you're the one who got to play it, because the medical droid goes to some really emotional places, and you have a real strength there as a player. And it was an absolute joy. And then Rich, of course, you got to play the fighter, which, I know you usually get to play the fighter, as you said, but you play again a fighter with a heart. And yeah, AG was a pleasure. And I liked a lot when we got to, I believe it was, who was it, the Sith, that we were all like, no, AG's dealing with this one.
That was awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
That was very funny. I loved it. Just the way you guys all chained in on that. That was one of my favorite little, nope, what we need to do is depend on this other guy. Yeah. Any wishes that you had out, Greg?
I wish to play this game again. I wish to play this game with all of you. And I would wish to play it again with completely different droids. Because the more droids that get played, I think the more I will get a concept for what needs to be tweaked. Yeah.
Cool. I can go next. So ditto to all the stars that Greg handed out. I really enjoyed C0. I'm glad someone pointed out that C0F33 is coffee. Like, I just didn't. I'm terrible at leet speak, and that was very witty, Cody. That was great stuff. I like the depiction of a servant droid, and I'm glad that you took it to coffee, because like when I saw servant droid, I was like, oh no, this could get uncomfortable. And you're like, nope, it didn't even enter. That was great. I really enjoyed coffee a lot. And Joshua, the sadness of just how feeble FX was at the end, and just having its arms ripped off and doing nothing and just being there, existing. That was, for me, true horror. Like that was horrific. That was the worst. It made me sad. Good job. But Greg, thank you for playing a gonk. That was very fun, and I like the design of the gonk with the arm. That was just crazy droid arm that he can use to pick stuff up. That was a really clever add to the power droid.
I felt the power droid needs something, because otherwise they have very limited agency.
Exactly. And that's why I was like, oh, this is smart. I'm really glad you did this. Yeah, this was... So I watched the I mentioned this before we started recording. I watched 2 different groups play the skeletons, and it was not good. So I was a little trepidatious, but I was like, oh, I'm with Gauntlet, folks. It's okay. And I was right. It was super good with you guys. There's just enough like quirky droid humor, but then super sad moments that hits the tone of Star Wars really well. And I think everybody existed in that space awesomely. And I wish that I'd gotten in contact with Steven so that he could enjoy this too, but I'm going to run it again. So I'm just going to give him an invite. I'm definitely going to run this again. We'll have to do the Lost on Star Destroyer one or something like that. That'll be fun. Cool. This was great. I really enjoyed it. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. So yeah, the big stars, everything already said, it was a fantastic game. I think big star to Greg for reskinning this into Star Wars. I think you did an amazing job. Rich, thanks for running Star Wars Saturday stuff. Like, I'm so excited that I finally was able to get into one, and to get into this where it's not even the Star Wars you expect to play, right? You never expect to play as droids just like stuck in a spot. You want to play as rebels. You want to play as stormtroopers. You want to be in the big battles with lightsabers. We still had lightsabers. So you did a really great job of bringing all that into this. And Joshua, I think, you FX, I think, really took the charge of like, these droids have relationships together. Like, that started first with you saying, well, this is what it was, right? And I think that totally took over the angle, the trajectory that I was having with C0, where it was like, oh yeah, that's what I should be doing, is having relations with these droids. And so, it took me a bit to warm up to get to the idea of what I was going to be doing in this game. And then when we had that question where one of us was a supervisor, and it was like, oh, okay, there it is, right? And then you adapted to it, and it's like, yeah, and he helped me do this, and he did these things, and you piggybacked right off of it. And that happened early enough on that it was really able to influence the way the rest of the game played, in my opinion. And it made it like a much more touching experience than I expected to have. So yeah. And as for wishes, I hope to play again with you guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had an amazing time. I was really surprised, like you've all said, how well we were able to hit both the kind of bumbling humor of the droids, and then these really like touching moments with each other, and then just with the environment. I also loved how the limitations that you set up, Greg, in building the characters, how those influenced how clever we had to be with the narration of what was happening in the palace, and coming up with these memories, and like working together in different ways, or not being able to work together. I really enjoyed the cleverness of it, and I think everyone did a fantastic job of role playing. And yeah, I'll shout out Rich as well for setting up all of this stuff and getting all of the ability for us to draw the palace. I think is a really big deal. I think it helps a whole ton. And I like that everyone was kind of adding stuff to it as we went. So that was fantastic. Wishes wise, yeah, I would like to see more of the droids, and I wish I had thought of answers to all my questions, because I'm a bit of a completionist in that way, but it just didn't work out, and that's.
I'm curious on that because I felt that for some of the questions as I was writing them, that it's easier to answer certain questions. I have to look at the medical droid specifically, but I felt like certain ones where it's easier to answer them early on. Like, why didn't you save the last intruder? That's easier when it's not like first order soldiers, right? So did you ever feel that some of your questions would have been, is there a way to, like, because I don't want to like call out, hey, you should answer this question early on. The questions should be able to answer. You should be able to go the whole time without actually naming your designation until the very end, right? That could be kind of interesting. Did you feel something like that? Why didn't you save the last intruder? Or which one? The other one didn't you answer?
The other one was, whose life did you once save, and did they ever express their gratitude? And that one, I think both of these, I could have answered them, but there weren't really. I didn't think of any interesting answers. Like the one intruder that I had thought about maybe saving was the Sith, but Rich had so thoroughly taken care of her that I was.
Oh, I'm sorry. You should have interrupted. That would have been so great.
I thought it was perfect. But like while that was happening, I was like, well, it would be interesting if I like threw her in the back to tank or something. But I think you putting her in the like riddling her with blaster shots and then putting her in the holding cell was also perfect, and so that didn't need to be. We didn't need to have something else happen to her. And then like the animals, I didn't really feel like any of the animal intruders needed to be handled in that way. So I don't know. I just didn't think of anything. And then whose life did you want save? We had already had that moment, several of us, where I had helped out. And so I didn't want to.
Yeah, more of a generalist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think it was bad at all. I was just, I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just one of those wishes where, like, if things had been different, maybe, but yeah.
Did anyone find the names remembered or the sensor observations useful?
I didn't notice the sensor observations till the very, like, near the end, and like some of them are really interesting. Like a crying widow would have been interesting to bring up, but yeah, I think maybe more direction on how to make use of those.
Okay. Yeah, they're leftover from the skeleton. I believe they're something like impressions or something along those lines. And I felt they were always there for, people who have a little more difficulty on the improv side of things. If you're looking at, whose life did you want to save, and you see something like, a heart and arrest or something, you might get inspired. Okay. So maybe, calling those out a little more explicitly at the beginning. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's something I can do next time around. I think maybe there are too many names. It's probably kind of the same as the skeletons, but like I honestly think like if there were 3 to 5, that'd be enough.
Yeah, I felt we weren't naming as many people as I thought we might be. Yeah. And I also I snuck in obscure Star Wars characters and sometimes occasionally Star Wars Saturdays. Like Pondo Baba is the one at the cantina with the flaps. You'll be dead is the Greedo's in there. Greedo's not that obscure, but so I used it as a tongue-in-cheek Star Wars moment thing.
I loved it.
Yeah. So maybe I think maybe reducing the names and maybe calling out the sensor observations. Did anyone feel like the questions about establishing your character or establishing part of the palace were not as useful as they could have been, or not as interesting?
I really liked both of the medical droid ones. I thought they were. The first question is very interesting because it's kind of like contrary to their normal function or how they would normally be set up. And then I think having only one piece of still functioning equipment is a really fun limitation for what they should be, like what their directive is, So that,
I love that you put someone. Yeah, I love you put someone in a back to tank. That was I didn't expect that. The med bed still works. It's kind of what I was expecting, but like, no, there's a Bacta tank and there's someone stuck in it. It's like, whoa. And then same with Rich, but there's someone in the cell. Whatever happened to Spang Nova Star? They're just a skeleton.
Yeah, they're a skeleton for someone to play as the skeletons later. Except in that version, it's Star Wars, so you just lay there.
Yeah, I liked both my questions. Just saying that real quick.
No problem. Yeah, we've met the time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys so much. I'll end the broadcast here. Thanks, guys.